So let's look ahead now to the weekend as Arsenal face their former manager, Unai Emery, and his Aston Villa side. Joining us now is Villa fan Dan Bardell. Dan, welcome to Inside Gooners.
Thank you for having me.
So Dan and I, actually, the last time Dan and I, I've got a question for you guys. The last time Dan and I worked together, we ate cheesecake on the television because both Arteta and Unai Emery are from the same region in Spain. Do any of you know which region that is?
Basque region.
I want one. So Harry said the Basque.
Sociedad area.
Good one. What about you?
I thought Basque. That was awful.
We're going with Basque? It was. We ate Basque cheesecake because they're both from the Basque region. Yeah, that was good. It was good. Good cheesecake.
It was the best cheesecake I've ever had, actually. Genuinely, it was unbelievable. The texture was phenomenal.
No, but this isn't a joke. He loved it. He was so happy standing there at Villa Park eating his cheesecake. So, anyway, let's move past this. Dan, you probably have very fond memories of last season's game at the Emirates, but both teams' situations are slightly different this time round, aren't they?
Yeah, we're a little bit off where we were at this stage last season. I think you're actually on the same points, aren't you, at the same stage of the season this time last year? So I think you're pretty much where you should be. Liverpool have just ran away with it a little bit. But, yeah, great memories. Villa have won at the Emirates a few times in my life, but that was probably the one that got us over the line for top four last season, whereas for Arsenal, obviously, it was the game that ended up probably costing them the league title. So at this stage of the season, it's not quite as crucial as it was this time last year, but I genuinely think it will be a brilliant game. Both teams have won yesterday and picked up good results. And I actually think there'll be a lot of goals in this one at the weekend.
Alex, do you think that we owe Villa one for last year's defeat, which effectively, as Dan just very nicely put it, cost us the title?
Yeah, it did. And I still think back to that. I remember Trossard had a chance first off, and he stuck it straight at Martinez. And I still always think if that goes in, it feels slightly different how it would have ended up. But yeah, we do a bit. And also, like I remember the game at Villa Park last season as well was frustrating. But I think for the big thing for us is just for the fact that obviously we won last night. Is just get a bit of momentum. Even a draw would feel like feels. Disaster's a strong word, but it would be like, oh, here we go. It was kind of a one-off. I think for it's a big game for us on Saturday is to try and get another win.
So Dan, obviously a big away win for Villa last night. Does that give you a little bit more confidence coming into the game on Saturday?
Yeah, we've started 2025 quite low-key good. We've probably not played well for the first three games of 2025, but we've won them all, which is important. I think maybe earlier on in the season, and Arsenal at home was a prime example of that. There's games where we've played well and not taken anything. The difference that day was Arsenal took their chances and Villa didn't, and that's probably not what's happening for Arsenal now. So I take a bit of confidence by the fact it feels like Arsenal are missing a lot of big chances in games, but it just feels like Villa they kept a clean sheet last night, but Villa will give up chances by virtue of the way that they play. So Arsenal will get chances. But I think Villa will as well. And the way Villa set up last night against Everton, the fullbacks were allowed to come forward and create the width, whereas the three players playing off Watkins, they were narrow and played as three number 10s. And what that did was it made Villa hard to break through offensively, albeit they're playing against Everton, who are pitiful going forward and pitiful in front of goal. But also going forward in transition, I just think Rodgers and Jacob Ramsey being close to Ollie Watkins, who I think will start over Jhon Duran again. I do think there's gaps that you can get at Arsenal, as good as their defence is. I do think there's gaps in midfield that Villa in transition can maybe exploit. So I think it'll be a really, really good game. I'm not saying Villa are going to go there and win, but I do think there's a chance that Villa can definitely go there and take something.
Dan, you mentioned it there, Ollie Watkins. How good is it that he's back scoring goals? Maybe hasn't quite been himself. Jhon Duran looked like he was getting the shirt, then he gets himself suspended. But Watkins has come in, scored a couple of goals. I thought he looked really sharp last night against Everton.
Yeah, you said to me earlier on in the season in the talkSPORT office that Villa have got two of the top five strikers in the Premier League, and I still think that's the case now. Even though there's been a little bit of a drop-off from Watkins, I still think what he gives you for 90 minutes or however long he plays, the off-the-ball stuff, the intangible stuff, I think he's still really, really important, and I think he's the right striker to play in this game. What's good is he's got that goal last night against Everton. Whilst Duran was suspended, it didn't feel like he grabbed the shirt with both hands in Duran's absence, but he did well last night. He missed a chance in the first half. He didn't dwell on it, and he took his chance in the second. But we all know that once Watkins scores one goal, he tends to go on runs and he tends to hit his goals in bursts. So he will get chances against Arsenal, and just him getting that monkey off his back and getting that goal, I think going into this game is the right choice to play. But just, the game's not going Villa's way. If the game's going Villa's way, just to know you've got Jhon Duran to bring on in 60, 70 minutes, and he'll come on the pitch at the Emirates, a massive ground playing against a massive team against Arsenal, and he'll be up for it and he'll want to do something. And usually he just manages to pull something out from nowhere. We've seen it so many times off the bench this season. So I think if Watkins can run Arsenal for 60, 70 minutes, having Jhon Duran to bring on, if the game's close, that really could be a game changer.
So speaking of Jhon Duran, Dan, what do you make of Darren saying that Arsenal should take him?
Well, yeah, I said I had to pick myself up off the floor before we came to do this segment. Look, I don't think it's beyond the realms of possibility that at some point Jhon Duran ends up somewhere like Arsenal. It won't be January. He's just signed a new contract. But at some point, I think Villa are going to have a decision to make with Watkins or Duran. We know he can be a bit of a volatile character. I do think at some point he'll move from Villa for absolutely huge money, whether that be Arsenal or whether that be someone else. But in January, there's absolutely no chance Villa let him go. We're going well in the Champions League. We're in the FA Cup. We've still got ambitions to get top 4 or 5, whatever it takes to get into the Champions League. Villa will need both of them, and I just think it's such a unique situation. We talk about how hard the striker market is for Arsenal and other teams that need a striker. The fact that we've got 2 out-and-out goal scorers at our club is absolutely fantastic.
Well, wait and see. Hey, we'll wait and see. Well, I just want to say, I'll actually say good luck this time. Good luck for the weekend. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Nice to see you all.
So, how are you guys feeling for the weekend? Villa, it's a big game.
It is a big game, but I'm confident. I think Villa haven't been as good, maybe. I think they're getting better in this period because maybe the stress of the Champions League, the domestic football was maybe taking its toll at the start of the season. I know they were in Europe last year, but the Champions League is no other beast. So I'm confident Arsenal, though. After that win against Tottenham, I feel that they're calm, composed, and I feel that they're going in the right direction again.
I'm a man fueled by revenge. So this is a game that, I think the players won't need any extra motivation for this. Aston Villa cost us the Premier League title last season at the Emirates Stadium. Yeah. Go out there and put it right. The team talk is done. There's nothing else that needs to be said in terms of Mikel Arteta's messaging across. Put the tactical stuff aside, but the motivation should be there already.
Yeah, I just think it's important for us to get a win on Saturday, to get a bit of momentum, and I really believe that if we can take one of the early chances, if we get an early chance, we can take one. I think you always see it with the confidence. I'd love, I desperately want Havertz to score. Anyone on Saturday, but definitely Havertz. I'd love to see him score.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.